Welcome, Facebook live stream viewers. So glad to have you with me today. I'm back from vacation. Had a wonderful renewing time that I'll tell you a little bit about in just a few minutes. But I'm glad you're here. We're going to be talking today about peace and volatility, inner peace, and a volatile stock market, which we've got going on right now. So Cheri Blair will be joining us in just a little bit to tell us what's going on with the doggone market, how do we best deal with it, what's the best way to strategize riding it out successfully. And we're going to be talking to Carson Caldwell and finding out where in the country is Carson. And you remember, Carson is this 24-year-old young man who we have been following, who is riding a bicycle across the United States barefoot to raise money for the starving children in Yemen. So don't go away. We've got a fun show, a big show, and we're looking forward to having you with us. So here we go.
Tired of the rut you're stuck in, but don't know what to do?
Change it up. Join life transitions therapist, speaker, and best-selling author Paula. She'll be exploring topics that make change and the challenge it presents smoother and more productive. She'll also be spotlighting change makers who are leading the charge to make the world a better place. If you're ready to live a more exciting life, at home, in the workplace, and around the world, it's time to step out of your comfort zone and change it up. Now, here's your host, Paula.
Welcome to Change It Up Radio. I'm Paula Shaw, your host, and I am so glad for you today. We're going to be talking about peace and volatility. We will be checking in with Carson Caldwell, who you may remember is riding a bicycle across the United States barefoot to raise money for the starving children in Yemen. We've been following Carson since he left Philadelphia. And last I heard, he was somewhere in Oklahoma, so I can't wait to talk to Carson today and find out how that journey is going. We'll also be visited by our financial advisor, Cheri Blair, who's going to be talking about what on earth is going on with the market. It's quite volatile these days, and it's a little scary for a lot of people. So we're going to have Cheri join us to tell us what's the best way to ride out this kind of a volatile market. So welcome to Change It Up Radio. I'm Paula Shaw, and as most of you know, I'm an author, a speaker, a life transitions therapist, and my work is really all about helping people deal with change. That's what this show is all about. We spotlight change makers, or people who are trying to make the world a better place. And we also try to bring you information to help make change smoother and more productive. So I want to say right up front, if you want to learn more about this show, if this maybe is the first time you've caught it, please go to changeitupradio.com. You can get all kinds of information about who our audience is, information about being a guest or a sponsor of this show at changeitupradio.com. And if you want to learn more about me and my work, you can find that information at paulashaw.com. We also have a very active Facebook page and Instagram page for this radio show and also my own. So lots of information there. You can see past shows and get kind of an inside look at what is Change It Up Radio and who is Paula Shaw. So thank you again for being with us. For those of you who may be new to the show, Carson Caldwell, who will be joining us a little later, is a young 24-year-old man who Googled one day, where are the most people starving in the world? And he found out that it was in Yemen. And he contacted a nonprofit called Beitumal, which is doing beautiful work in Yemen. They were actually recommended to him by the New York Times as one of the nonprofits that is really actually getting into the country and getting the money and the help to the people. So Carson is now riding his bike, barefoot, by the way, across the United States to help raise raise money for the starving children in Yemen. So his information, if you're interested in checking him out on Facebook or donating, is bike numeral 4 Yemen, Yemen, bike for Yemen. Carson will be telling us much more soon. And again, we'll be joined by Cheri Blair, who's going to be talking about this kind of scary situation that's going on for a lot of investors right now. One day the market's up, and the next day it's plunging, and the next day it's up. And most of us get a little nervous by that kind of a market and really don't know what to do. So rest assured, Cheri will be joining us with some good information to help us understand the whole situation and some good suggestions as to how to strategize and deal with this kind of a market. So, as I mentioned, I am fresh back from a heavenly vacation in a place called Silver Lake, where my family has been going for the last 28 years. It's in the Sierras. It's a pristine, beautiful, magical, peaceful place. And, you know, in recent shows, I've been sharing tips and tools that I really love, some things to try to help my listeners dealing with the problems that come up in everyday life. But I want to share today some of the insights and some of the precious moments that I experienced on my vacation in Silver Lake. So I want to begin by sharing with you a quote from a colleague of mine, Therese Santos, and I thought it was so perfect for what I want to talk about today. And this is the quote: "Into nature I go to lose my stress and find my soul." That, my friends, is exactly what happened to me. I left town pretty much a stressed mess, and I returned a renewed soul. I have to admit, it was a little difficult dealing with re-entry. And I know some of you know what I mean, because they're all different kinds of vacations, right? I mean, like, you can go to Europe, and that's amazing, and you see incredible things. But to me, that's travel. That's not vacay, not vacation. This vacation that I took was just rest and relaxation, having no agenda, no schedule every day, just spending time in a beautiful place, being in the moment. And here are some of the ingredients I thought about in creating the notes for today's show. Some of the things that were present that helped me get to this place of renewal. The first one was time. You know, we're all always saying, "Oh, I don't have time. Oh, if only I had time. You know, I need more time," right? Well, I had time. I didn't set an alarm in the morning, except for, I think, one day, because I had a class I wanted to get to. And it was a yoga class, a beautiful, peaceful yoga class. But I had time. I spent time just sitting and staring at the lake and the majestic Carson Peak behind it and looking at clouds. One of my favorite things to do when I was a child was to look at the animals that I saw in the clouds. Because, of course, when you have the time to really look at clouds, my favorite thing to do is to lay on a grass and look up at the clouds. But I had time to look at the clouds during this vacation at Silver Lake. And it is so relaxing. It's so renewing to just give yourself that time. And you know, in several of those moments, inspiration came for some really cool things that I wanted to do business-wise. But I didn't jump to my computer. I just maybe made a note in my phone, and then I went on, just sitting, just relaxing. Both my children, Aaron and Casey, who are adults, as most of you know, were able to get free from work and come on this vacation. So we had some genuine, wonderful family time. We laughed and we laughed and we laughed. We sang, it's a 6-hour drive, so we had lots of time for singing and chatting and laughing. And my children decided to make a list of what they call Paula-isms. These are things that I say in my everyday speech that to me seem perfectly normal, but my children find them really hysterical. So there was a list that was created during the trip of Paula-isms, and the challenge was, will we by the end of the trip be able to have a full conversation of just Paula-isms? We never got all the way there, but we did have a lot of laughs along the way. Some of the other ingredients of creating that renewal were sleep. Oh my goodness, I slept so well. Most of you know that my show is now sponsored by LifeWave, and LifeWave creates a couple of patches that I normally use to sleep, and they work like a charm. They are really wonderful. No drugs, no chemicals, just working with the light of your body. I didn't even need those up in Silver Lake. I just slept like a baby until like 8 o'clock in the morning. Normally I'm up at 6 or 6:30 here, even naturally, so that was incredible. Just feeling grounded and safe and loved. My sister-in-law's family was also up there, and Andrea and Bob and the kids and the grandkids, and so that was a wonderful time of family sharing, family love. That's incredibly renewing. And then finally, of course, the thing that you have to go to a place like Mammoth or June or Silver Lake to experience just the majesty of that untouched nature, the majesty of the lakes and the peaks and the natural wonders. My daughter and I took a hike to Devil's Post Piles. Amazingly beautiful place. So we're going to have to go to a break in just a minute, and then we'll be talking to Carson Caldwell. But for any of you who have not taken time, even if it's just a day trip, to go into nature, to lose your stress and find your soul, I can't recommend it highly enough. For me, it was magic. All right, we'll be back in just a moment with Carson Caldwell, and we're going to be finding out where in the country is Carson. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
Now, more than ever, it's important for women to understand why they need a financial strategy. Women tend to make less money than men, live longer, and face more financial challenges during retirement. Hi, I'm Cheri Blair. With evolving roles and increasing responsibilities, women are seeking out ways to become more knowledgeable about their finances. My life's work has been to empower women to make good financial decisions today to help ensure you have a bright future tomorrow. I'm here to help you learn more and to become more. Give me a call for your free no-obligation consultation or a second opinion at 619-997-0416. 619-997-0416. That's 619-997-0416.
Cheri Blair is registered with and securities are offered through Brokers International Financial Services, LLC, member SIPC. Brokers International Financial Services, LLC is not an affiliated company. California license number 0B42369.
Hi, I'm Kelly Klein of OneTrust Home Loans, Loan Coach Kelly. A while back, my business was in a slump, and it triggered a lot of self-doubt and fear, and it even had me questioning if I'd made the right career choice. So I booked a session with Paula Shaw. And after hearing my predicament, she explained that when we get into negative, self-sabotaging thinking and we are being run over by our limiting beliefs, it's almost impossible to create positive outcomes. She helped me clear those destructive thoughts and beliefs using her cutting-edge energy psychology techniques. Not only did I feel a whole lot better after the session, but within 2 weeks, I had 7 loans in my pipeline. I was so glad that I went to see Paula Shaw. And you should too. It really changed my perspective on life, business, and now my business is going great. You can reach her at 626-864-0756. That's 626-864-0756. 626-864-0756. Or check her out at paulashaw.com. That's paulashaw.com.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. And in this segment, as promised, we will be talking to Carson Caldwell. We also want to share with you that we are being brought to you by LifeWave, leaders in the field of activating your stem cells. And Carson Caldwell, who we'll be talking to in just a moment, is actually wearing the X39 LifeWave patch, which does activate stem cells, increases your ability to recover after a workout, increases collagen, helps with pain, improves sleep. It's an amazing patch. So we'll have to ask Carson today how that's working for him. So, Carson, are you there?
Yes, Paula, I'm here. How are you?
Yay, it's so good to hear your voice. I am fine, but what I want to know, first of all, is where are you?
Well, I'm in western Oklahoma, approximately 125 miles west of Oklahoma City, in a small town called Sayre, which is spelled S-A-Y-R-E. And it's approximately 25 miles away from the border of Texas. So I'm hoping to reach Texas by the end of the day today.
Oh, and Texas is going to be a big ride. That's a giant state, isn't it?
It is a large state, but I'll be riding through the top part, which is thinner.
Yes.
And so I'm going to be in New Mexico probably in about a week or less.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad to hear that, Carson, because one of my other concerns and what I also want to find out from you is what kind of temperatures are we looking at now?
Yeah, great question. So it's been very, very hot. The last couple of days have reached 100 degrees quite easily, and then of course the heat index is much higher, and the UV index is also pretty intense. So regarding the barefoot thing, so I'm still riding barefoot, but I was actually given a pair of flip-flops in Oklahoma City.
Oh, thank God. Thank God.
Yeah,
That's a load off my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I made it all the way to Oklahoma City with no kind of footwear, but I think now that I'm entering sort of a kind of a desert climate, I think it's wise to have a pair of flip-flops just in case.
Oh, yes. You may remember in our very first conversation, Carson, I said, well, you're going to have like some flip-flops in your backpack, right? And you said, no, I'll just have double socks and that kind of thing. But I'm telling you, you made my day, knowing that you've got that backup. The mother in me was just not comfortable. Knowing, that's not a joke that sometimes the pavement in places like that gets so hot you could fry an egg. That's not easy on one's feet.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, and also I was just going for a small walk earlier yesterday, and I wasn't wearing shoes, and basically I stepped in some grass, and there was definitely some extremely sharp little burrs and thorns in the grass as well. So I think now just this region, it's probably wiser to use flip-flops when I'm walking, but while I'm riding, it's still not a problem for me to be barefoot.
And Carson, I know we've talked before about you're wearing the X39 patch, and you were talking about how much it's helped your stamina, but how is this heat affecting you?
Well, basically, I keep my skin covered, so I've got like long pants and long sleeves on, and I actually am wearing like a balaclava style face mask just to keep the sun off. And what I do is I keep all that wet at all times to help keep me cool. So that's actually been working pretty well.
Oh, good.
And then of course, I'm not doing as many miles as I have been, just simply because the heat is so intense. So I'm really sort of taking my time and monitoring my, monitoring my my health for the sake of safety.
Yes.
Obviously.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Carson, because you've got some pretty big stretches ahead of you of what we call miles and miles of miles, right? Without a lot of towns in between.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll have to kind of stock up on extra water and food and electrolytes, things like that.
So, we've never talked about this before, but I'm just wondering, is there a safety plan? Is there a backup plan? I mean, if, let's say, you're out in the middle of nowhere and you start feeling the effects of the heat or something, I know you've got your cell phone. Is there any other backup plan? I mean, usually when swimmers cross the English Channel or people are doing really daring things, there's a car right behind them with people that'll help them out if they get in trouble. But you don't have that, right? You're really out there on your own.
Yeah, to some degree, but since I'm right near the Route 66 route, it's like a very historical sort of pathway. So there's a lot of people around or passing most of the time, and even if I am sort of quote unquote in the middle of nowhere, there's definitely people still driving by here and there. So yeah, and of course having the cell phone is I would say that is like my connection to help if I need it. So yes. I would say, and I'm also pretty familiar with like what I'm capable of and my physical limits. So I'm just hoping that I can kind of like operate reasonably in order to avoid any sort of mishap like that.
Yes, and of course we have the energy of lots of people who love you, protecting you, surrounding you, going with you. And speaking of people, I'm kind of wondering, now you've been out, over a month, is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's probably close to 50 days now.
Okay. So I'm sure you've been meeting people along the way, and I know we chuckled a little while back about the dogs chasing you in Kentucky. And I'm just wondering, is there somebody you've met along the way that's just really impacted you, that is a story you'd like to share with our listeners today?
Well, yeah, there's just too many in order to share in a short amount of time. But recently, I met an individual who happened to be from Yemen, and I stayed with him for 2 nights. And he was an extremely intelligent individual who came here about 25 years ago, and he has a PhD and he owns his own business. He was a super guy, and he just was extremely hospitable and kind and really took care of me. And he was calling me almost every day, checking on me, making sure I'm all right. And he's a super nice guy. His name is Muhammad, and he just treated me very well, and I'll never forget his kindness and hospitality.
That is so beautiful. And isn't that really the point of this whole thing? That it doesn't matter what country we come from or what color we are or any of that, that we're all people. And we all basically want to help each other to make life a little smoother and a little easier. And I think it's so incredible that you're in a situation where you're opening to this at 24 years of age. You're learning some really wonderful, beautiful things about human beings, just as human beings.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the world definitely could use a little bit more, love and compassion and unity and respect. And I'm aligning myself with the side of life that hopefully helps to promote and propagate those things.
Yes. Well, when you have a mission that's all about helping other people, a mission that's putting you through considerable discomfort and considerable effort, then you know what? I'm a great believer that whatever we put out energetically is going to come back to us. So I think there will be many more stories for you to tell, like this story of Mohammed, because Carson, you're just putting out this beautiful energy and you're doing such a wonderful thing. It's just amazing. And let's be sure we tell everybody if they would like to contribute to the starving children of Yemen, how do they go about doing that?
It's very simple. You can just go to bikeforyemen.org, and that's bike, the number 4, yemen.org. And then on Facebook, you can search hashtag Bike for Yemen to follow my progress and see updates if you're interested. And I'd like to also remind people that money goes a really long way in Yemen, and $1 provides one meal for an entire family. So you can feed a family for a whole day with just $3. So, hopefully, people can realize that it doesn't really take much to make a huge impact in someone's life who, really needs that sort of help.
Yes. And we're trying to get you on some more shows. So on Friday, I want to tell everybody, you will be on Andrea Kay's show, which is a daily, very popular show here in San Diego. And we're working on some others because we want to get the word out there. And to any of our listeners, if you're school teachers or in your office, you might get people excited about what Carson is doing and have them contribute. Remember, all you got to do is go to bikeforyemen.org. Any amount of money can go a long, long way. Carson, I'm so excited about what you're doing, and I'm so glad that you're well. And you're still wearing that X39 patch, right?
Yeah, definitely. I put it on at night. It really helps with my recovery times, and I wake up feeling much fresher in the morning than I would if I wasn't using it.
Oh, good. Well, we want everything going for you possible that can make this journey easier. And can I count on hearing from you next week?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I look forward to these weekly chats. I enjoy catching up with you.
Well, me too, you, Carson. And we're so glad that you're doing well. And I will chat with you next Tuesday. So take good care.
Excellent. Thank you, Paula. Thank you.
Right. Okay. And we'll be right back with Cheri Blair talking about the volatility in the market. Stay with us.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
Hi, Paula Shaw here. I'm so delighted to share with you that LifeWave has become our newest sponsor on Change It Up Radio. My family and I all use their tiny wearable patch technology, and the results are life-changing. My sister had lupus for over 20 years and has never slept well. Now she does. My mom's frozen shoulders simply went away. My favorite is the age-reversing X39, a patch engineered to activate stem cells. Yeah, it's true. They really work to improve how you look, feel, perform, and heal. LifeWave patches use a patented form of phototherapy using frequencies of light to safely boost health and wellness at the cellular level with no drugs. Learn more online by visiting lifewave.com. That's lifewave.com.
My business has lost its upward momentum. I'm working up to 14 hours a day, but my sales seem to have plateaued. I'm so overwhelmed.
I used to have that same problem, but ever since I found the Balanced Millionaire Consulting Firm, our sales and profits have risen sharply. Even our staff is more engaged, and the atmosphere is full of energy.
I have no time to work on my business to develop new sales and marketing strategies. I would love to expand, have strategic partnerships, and access to financing.
You can do all of that and more. The Balanced Millionaire Consulting Team advises you on streamlining your operations, establishing alliances, and most importantly, increasing your revenues and profits.
Let us help you build value and reduce stress in your business. Take charge. Don't let your business control your life. Visit thebalancedmillionaire.com or call 442-224-0160 for a free consultation. That's 442-224-0160 or thebalancedmillionaire.com.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
With the mic. Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. And as promised in this segment, we are going to be talking with Cheri Blair. And also wanted to remind you that we're being brought to you by LifeWave, leaders in the field of activating your stem cells. So many of you know Cheri Blair, who's been with us for quite a while. She is a financial advisor extraordinaire who is doing something really wonderful in that her focus is on helping women to grow beautiful financial futures. However, guys, don't despair. She will take you on as well. She is not only helping women, but that is her primary focus. And some of you may remember some of the great events that she has done in the past to bring information to women and a beautiful afternoon. So will we be talking about one of those events again today?
Yes, we will. We're actually having the next event on October 12th.
October 12th. Okay, and where will we be this time? I go to every one of them, by the way. She can't keep me away.
San Diego Botanic Gardens, the same place. So we're going to watch our finances bloom with a flower bud, creating a flower bouquet like we have before.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
With Renee?
With Renee.
Oh, my goodness. You don't want to miss this. So give us the date again, Cheri.
October the 12th.
All right, and when we give you Cheri's contact, well, let's just give them your contact information right now in case people want to make that note.
Great. You can reach me at my phone number or my website. Let's give them the website CheriBlairFinancialServices.com or 619-997-0416. That will get me directly. Or you can even reach me through email, cblair@cbfinancialservices.org.
All right. And we'll be giving you all that contact information again. And, of course, it will be in the show notes on changeitupradio.com. All right, Missy. So the market is being very volatile these days, and that tends to scare people.
It certainly does.
Everybody suddenly goes into a panic. It could crash one day and I'll lose all my money. So give us some info, Cheri. I've been promising that you would help us understand what on earth is going on and what do we do about it.
Uh-huh. Good questions, Paula. Good questions. Mm-hmm. I always say that don't panic, don't sell, just plan.
Oh, say that again. Don't panic, don't sell,
just plan.
Beautiful. All right. Tell us how.
So with the market dropping, the stock market dropping, if we were to just go pull our money out, which some people do, it could be the wrong time and very costly, right? Mm-hmm. So let me give you an example. So last year, the markets had a sharp decline. And I know some folks that did panic and pulled out. And soon after selling, the S&P regained at a prevailing 28%, which more than made up for the 19% decline.
Oh, I see. Wow. So it can go way down, but what you're saying is it can come back and be even stronger than it was.
Correct.
Okay.
And by just pulling out suddenly because you're afraid or you're filled with fear,
right?
And not waiting to see what's going to happen, or if it's just a correction, it's a bleep, or if we're going into recession, then you could really lock in your losses. Mm-hmm. And as I was saying, the market came back, the S&P came back 28%, and it only went down 19%. So that, so soon after selling, the market cycle, we also know that the market cycle changes, and that's unpredictable. So that's inevitable, and it's going to do what it's going to do. The market's going to do what it's going to do, and everyone says that. I mean, that's in the industry, or you're
Right.
here, other professionals say that as well. So with the market fluctuations and them occurring, the investors start to worry. And so I thought we'd take a look at a graph that I provided. It's right here. So
the Facebook people can see that, but our listeners will have to explain it too.
Right. Thank you, Paula. That's a very good point. So let me do that. So in this graph, it has a history of declines from 1994 until December 2018. And this was done by Capital Group, which is owned by, they own American Funds. So they talk about the different kind of declines. So let's say a 5% drop, a 10% drop, a 15% drop, or even a 20% drop. Well, just on the average, the frequency of even a 5% drop happening is maybe 3 times a year.
Wow, I would have thought it was so much more than that.
No,
Wow.
that's an average, right? This has been, okay. So, and they typically would last, the average is 44 days, okay?
Okay.
That occurred in December of last year, okay? So the next would be a 10% or more drop, right? So that only occurs about 1 time a year.
Wow.
So, and that roughly would last 114 days. So that would be about 3.5 months.
So during that period of time, is it like it goes down and it keeps going down for 114 days, or is it back and forth, up and down, up and down?
So what that means is that it could be back and forth.
I see.
But in other words, if it, let's just say, like in the example I started with, that the S&P was at, it dropped 19%, but then it came back to 28%. Well, in that period of time before it came down, it went up and down, So that might be the lowest was the 19%, and then it came back to 28%.
So we would be looking then at a volatile market like we're looking at now.
Right, exactly,
Got it.
exactly.
Okay.
And then it goes on to say, I talked about the 15%. Well, that only actually occurs about once every 4 years.
Wow.
And then that can last up to what they say 270 days on average, which is about nine months, right? So, and then the last would be that we looked at here in this study was a 20% drop or more, which is very, and that occurs only about once every 7 years. So, it's important to keep these numbers in mind because, once at every 7 years, that might take over, obviously, we know a year to get back to the numbers. Now, they say that drop occurred, a 20% drop occurred in December of 2018. We were talking about the S&P going down 19. That's just the S&P. But it didn't take a year to come back, did it? It didn't take us,
right.
It took us a couple months and we were already doing better, right? So it's important that stocks and bonds, that people understand that they yield the highest amount of investment wealth over a long period of time. So things such that are, things that can change it are the central bank policies, the geopolitical environment, obviously, that we know. And these uncertainties are going to affect the market regardless. So the increase in temptation for you as an investor is to not make emotional decisions.
That's huge.
Not to make emotional
really huge.
Decisions, yeah.
I tell people that a lot in my practice, too.
Well,
sort
that's
of a good rule of thumb for life.
Absolutely. But when it does come to our money and where it's invested and when it goes down, we have to remember that short-term decisions can conflict our long-term goals.
That was a good
they
statement.
Can conflict.
Say that again.
Our short-term decisions can conflict with our long-term goals. So I have 3 points that people need to remember. Okay? Do we have time to go through? Okay. Number 1, it's to be expected. So the volatility, as I was talking about, is normal and a healthy part of the markets, of the market cycles, and we need to remember that, as hard as that may be when they're going down, right? There's a difference between an actual financial loss and a loss that occurs on paper. Okay? I'm going to explain that. A loss on paper means it's an unrealized loss, which occurs when the value of an asset or security drops below the original price. Okay? So, but the investment is not sold, so that means the asset hasn't been sold.
Right.
Okay? So that is what we call in our industry an unrealized loss, but a realized capital loss, okay, which would be, on the other hand, occur when an investor sells the asset at a lower price than they initially paid.
Then it's real.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. And, you know, sometimes when the market is doing what it's doing now, we see it going down and then it comes back up. I mean, you know, it goes down 300 points, goes back up 500 points, drops another 800 points, comes back 300 points, stays even for, you know, about flat for a day or two, then comes back up, then drops. That's volatility, right? That's volatility, which is what's been occurring.
A roller coaster ride. So
That's
what's
right.
point number 2?
Point number 2 is just knowing the difference between an unrealized loss and a realized loss. Okay.
Right.
And the third point is that we believe to focus on your long-term financial plans. Okay. Trust that it's all been designed and built in with short-term volatility already accounted for. So whenever you're planning or you're working with your financial professional advisor or planner, that we are looking at your plan with the idea that there's going to be volatility in the market. And so you have to have something, you have to have access to funds or to money that are short term, that, you know, that are low volatility, right? And that you could get access to, whereas something that would be, you might not want to be touching for 10 years or more, you could stand to have more volatility with that. And you're not going to have the reward of the returns, a higher return, without taking some risk. And
So I know you've talked in the past about how important it is to diversify.
Right.
So that's basically what you're saying, right? You don't want to have all your money in the market, because then your fear level's going to be through the roof if the market goes plunging down 300 points or something.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if it's been plunging 300 points, when it plunges like that, you know, then we have to take a look at what's going on everywhere in the economy. Are we headed into a recession?
And we're going to take a break right now, but when we come back, Cheri will be sharing more with us about how to weather this volatility storm. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more Change It Up with Paula Shaw on AM 1170, The Answer.
Jack Gutman survived World War II and then returned home to the hardest fight of his life with PTSD and alcoholism. Now at age 93, he's a businessman and comedian, sharing his message of recovery and hope in his new book, One Veteran's Journey to Heal the Wounds of War, helping our heroes and anyone who has experienced PTSD find happiness again. Get Jack Gutman's new book, One Veteran's Journey to Heal the Wounds of War, at Amazon.com. Or to order a signed copy, call 714-525-4954.
For those looking to improve their lives, there's nobody better to turn to than Paula Shaw. Paula helps people regain successful lives by identifying and eliminating self-sabotaging behavior using a multitude of mind-body techniques to identify and resolve their core issues. Working with a wide variety of healing modalities, she provides her clients with the most effective process for their specific needs. To book a session with Paula, call 858-480-9234. That's 858-480-9234.
Welcome back to Change It Up. Now here's your host, Paula Shaw.
Oh, that?
Just that.
Welcome back to Change It Up Radio with Paula Shaw. I'm delighted to be here with you today, and in studio with me is Cheri Blair, financial advisor whose main goal is to help women grow beautiful financial futures. But she is helping all of us, men and women today, understand what is going on with the stock market. We're talking about volatility. What creates it? What's it all about? And how do we ride it out? So actually, that is a burning question that I have, Cheri. What creates volatility? How come sometimes the market's kind of smooth for a while, and then we start this roller coaster ride?
Very good question. Very good question. And there are several parts to that. But this volatility, we have to think about where we are in the cycle. There's what we call business cycles, right? We've been at a peak. Right now we're at a peak. Then there is, often peaks are followed with recessions. And then there's coming out of the recession, and there's then it's, comes out of the recession, it starts to climb back up, and then when we get to close to that peak, it may be kind of neutral for a while, like you say, go along where things feel pretty normal for the while, or there's equilibrium, and then all of a sudden things happen. So first of all, there's several things involved, like right now, some of the good things to consider are we just in the month of July, we added in this country 164,000 new jobs.
Ooh,
so our unemployment is higher than it's been, for many, many years, and been that way for quite a while. Remember, we're also in a period of expansion. So that's what I was, when I talked about.
So that's good.
Yes, that's good. So you got the peak, you have the recession, and then you start having the expansion again. And then, so we've been in this period of expansion since, let's say, 2009, right? And here it is 2019, right? So that's a long, long time, and we still have we still have good job growth in this economy. So that's a very good thing. That speaks to the strength of our economy. However, we did have the rates cut last week on August 15th, if you remember. And people kind of scrambled around about that. But it was only by a 0.25 percentage point, which is very, very low. But that was the first time in more than a decade that they've lowered the interest rates. I mean, the Federal Reserve lowered the rates. But it shows that it signals that there's a readiness to provide support, because there's in the larger world economy, the growth has slowed down. So that's a way to bring about support. So another thing that's affected the market, obviously, was, and this is a very, very important, a parameter, guideline that people in the financial industry watch, and that is the yield curve. So
say that word again.
The yield curve.
Yield curve?
Yield. So it's bonds. So it's bonds. So let's say you've got the 2-year Treasury bonds and the 10-year Treasury bonds and 30-year bonds. Okay? So the yields have been very low, right, for a long time. So what recently happened is there was what we call an inversion. It inverted. The yield curve inverted. And people go, well, what does that mean? And so what happened was the 2-year or the 10-year Treasury bond tipped 1 basis point lower than the 2-year Treasury, and that's called an inversion. And when that happens, that only happens. First of all, that signals we're headed towards a recession. And the last time that happened was in 2007, right before 2008. So that really triggers people. I mean, that's red flags for a lot of people in my industry.
And this just happened?
That happened on August 15th last week. But like I said, it was only it only tipped by 1 basis point. So that's very nominal. I mean, I've heard people say that's not, it's not like there was a big dip or something in the treasuries like that, but it was a small, but they say an inversion is so bad that some say that you really have to be careful. We have to watch out. So the point is that the Feds have to be cautious. They have to be mindful and be watching because the bond rates are low. As per Mohammed Al-Arian, he's the chief economic advisor for Allianz, and he very, very well educated and a financial individual that does give us a lot of good information, and I watch quite frequently. But he said that when that happens, when the yield curve inverts, that causes so much alarm that it sounds the alarm if the Treasury yields dips into a negative territory, and it could be very, very bad. And because the U.S. economy is not structured in a way to hold that, to deal with that. So
what should people do? Is this a time to tighten your belts, to cut back on your spending, to change your investment strategies? What do we do?
Those are all good questions. So a couple of all of those things, right? So I know with some of my clients, some have chosen to take, instead of reinvesting, let's say dividends and maybe some of the gains they've had or interest they've earned, they put it off to the side, okay, in a safe place, like a low volatile place. And what they're doing is we call like dollar cost averaging. So they're actually, instead of just taking the money and lump summing the whole amount of money into the market, they're doing what they call every month they're putting so much back into the market.
I see.
So what that means is you're going to buy the shares when they're down, right? And then as the market starts to go back up, you'll buy shares as they go back up. So you buy when the price is low, and then you buy when the price is higher, so that averages out, right? And that can take some of the anxiety away.
I see. Yeah. And it occurs to me, Cheri, that one of the things that I think people really need to take the anxiety away is someone like you that knows what you're doing, that can guide them. So let's just right here, right now, give your contact information too, in case somebody's listening and they have to run. How can they reach you if they would like to?
Well, first of all, they can reach me at 858-935-7808. That's my office line. That's Cheri Blair Financial Services, 858-935-7808. And they could always reach me, like I said, send me an email at cblair, BLAIR, cbfinancialservices.org. Or actually, you can go to my website, and you can actually even send me, there's a place there to just say that you want to connect with me, and it'll come right into my calendar, and we'll set up a time. And that's Cheri Blair, financialservices.com.
And as I recall, you set up complimentary consultations, correct?
Yes, I do. Yes, we certainly do.
Great. So if somebody listening is nervous about what's been going on and would like to speak to you a little more specifically about their situation, they can set up that complimentary consultation as well.
That's right. I'd love to talk to you. You can give me a call. You can email me. You can go to my website, set up a time on the calendar, have a chat or a Zoom, like so many of us do today.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is if you're sitting in fear and it's paralyzing you, stop. You don't need to do that, because you can be guided out of that place. You can be helped to move beyond that, and that's not good for any of us.
You just need guidance and a strategy, right?
That's right, and we can do that. We'd love to help you with that.
And is there any closing thoughts you want to leave them with in terms of what we've been talking about today?
Well, I'd like to say that the guesswork that comes from, when the market goes down is sometimes an impulse to sell, that you pull back from that, because just remember that when your plan is put together, if you're working with someone that's helping you with a plan, that we always build that in to your financial plan, your investment strategy, and you just don't want to be doing something that's going to be costly for you in the long run.
Right. So think it through, and better yet, think it through with the help of Cheri Blair. And again, Cheri, before we run out of time, the event you're doing in October, which is for women, that's going to be information and the opportunity to create a beautiful bouquet of flowers at the San Diego Botanic Garden. That's happening what day?
October the 12th, which is on a Saturday, from 12 to 3:30. I'll be speaking. We're having another investment company come and talk about some investments, and we'll have a beautiful bouquet. A bouquet of food.
Oh, yes. Oh, I forgot that. The food's always amazing. Her
Food.
husband is an incredible chef.
He does the catering. So, and then we get to build and create our own bouquet that you get to take home with you, which
with
is
a fabulous,
really nice.
internationally known florist.
That's right.
So, Cheri, thank you for being here with us again, bringing your shining presence to help us calm down and stop worrying about the market and start thinking smarter, and thinking about getting guidance and professional help from somebody like you.
Thank you, Paula.
And I thank all my listeners for being here. It's great being with you. It's good to be back with you now. And remember, you can hear us at 9 o'clock on AM 1170, The Answer, and 96.1 FM on Sunday evenings. We're on every major podcast platform. Please go check out our Facebook page, Change It Up Radio Facebook, and Instagram. And if you can't remember all of that, just ask Siri or Alexa.
There you go. There you go.
All right. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Change It Up with life transitions expert, speaker, and best-selling author, Paula Shaw. Join the Change It Up movement with Paula Shaw as we explore topics that inspire, welcome change, and create a new kind of conversation. To learn more about Paula, how to be a guest on the show, and sponsorship opportunities, visit changeitupradio.com. Whether you're feeling happy, sad, mad, or glad, it never hurts to change it up.
Live stream viewers, we want to say thank you for being with us. Cheri, any last thoughts you'd like to say in closing?
Well, we'd love to see you come to one of our events, and I love being here with you, Paula. It's always a lot of fun.
My pleasure. Thank you for all that you shared with us today. I think we've calmed some folks out there.
I hope.
All right, guys, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Turn it off. Yeah.